Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to dive into a topic today that is a pretty widely searched topic.
Very much so, yeah.
For the average golfer. We're in this swell of golfers either coming back to the game or coming to the game for the first time. And we often try and live in the minds of you guys, and especially the newer golfers or the people who don't cycle through equipment as regularly as people like ourselves. And the question often gets asked, am I good enough for a club fitting?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think they're consistent enough to show a fitter what recommendations they would make for a shaft, to heads. We got all kinds of different stuff here. You know, I hit behind the ball sometimes. I hit it thin sometimes. I don't. You know, I hit a slice sometimes, and I hit a pull. Like they just figure there's no way that level of inconsistency would benefit from a fitting, which you know, obviously you don't agree with.
No, and you know, we see. Obviously, people who come in with that mindset is that they think their inconsistencies override any differences really there are between golf clubs and that type of thing. And you know, quickly as the fit develops, they quickly change their mind.
Yeah, I see it all the time as well. Yeah, I'm in here.
You know, they see the benefits of certain technologies, certain suggestions that we might give relative to shaft weight, length, head design, golf ball, that type of stuff. So we're going to dive into a little bit about that today and show you guys some of the things that we think are most important when it comes to the value of the club fitting process. Obviously talking about the question of, am I good enough to be fit? We're really talking about a higher handicap or a golfer.
Definitely. I think most people think 20 plus or so is probably the range we're talking about.
Yeah. So at that handicap range, we have a few kind of assumptions that we can make. Number one in our list of assumptions today is strike inconsistency.
Right.
And that is strike inconsistency in both strike point on the face, so not hitting the same part of the head regularly enough. And the other part of that is also strike consistency in terms of contact with the bottom of the arc.
Ground. Yeah, so it varies. Sometimes the bottom of the arc is behind the ball, in front of the ball. Yeah, so that's where you get heavy and thin shots. Yeah.
Exactly, that's exactly it. So we're gonna kind of show you guys. Matty's going to demonstrate sort of the extreme case of, picture yourself, you've got a hand-me-down set of clubs. A family member or friend has used a set of golf clubs and maybe they were a good player, or maybe they just didn't know any better, or they were using a set of blades. Yeah. Lovely blades. Lovely. Good looking blades. Shave with them blades.
You could.
And we're going to test that against what for us was probably the standout game improvement club of the year, the G430, and test those side by side. What type of drop-offs, if you are in the kind of inconsistent strike category, are you likely to see? Okay, we're going to kick it off with the blade. I mean, I think not often that you see a set of blades like this with a graphite shaft, but we are going to use a graphite shaft.
Lighter weight.
We're going to try and isolate the head as the variable here. Length and everything else will be the same. Lovely strike, new golfer.
Thank you.
Okay, lovely.
Pretty typical stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a little selection of left and right, and pretty good. We're got an assortment of thin, good toe and heel strikes. So I think that's exactly what the higher handicap golfer is likely to see. All right, over to our friendly pal, the cavity back.
Okay.
See if we can keep it around that 75 miles an hour club.
Same swing speed, but
I was going to say it'll be very interesting to see what the club head speed is in that, because obviously,
about the same.
Yeah, 75.
I was actually quite thin and towards the toe, and I think we saw more shape and spin loss before. That's nice.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Lovely. A gem. The
overall front to back and it's a little tighter window where the ball flies. Seems like the blade, even on small mishits, you're going to come up shorter than you would.
Yeah, standard deviation is in this case a little bit wider just because the strike moved around the head a little bit.
Right.
Test number 2, guys, when it comes to are you good enough to be fit? We're starting to talk about the set composition, the set makeup. We're going to test long irons versus hybrids, 4-iron versus the equivalent 4 hybrid. Something that's been debated obviously for a number of years now is how much easier a hybrid or even a lofted fairwood is versus the traditional 4 or even 3-iron. So we're going to show you at the same distance, the same green. If Matt's hitting a green out there at 170 yards, which is probably fairly standard, fairly common for a lot of people in this kind of area. We're going to look at the ball flight differences, again, consistency, land angle, all that type of stuff. That's a beauty.
It's as good as it can be. So it's a little hard to hold the green there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that is exactly it. When you're coming in with launch character or launch and spin or flight characteristics that resemble a 3-wood.
Definitely don't get away with those.
Nope.
Miss hit. A little fat, actually.
It's another beauty.
It's well hit also. But yeah, it's just too hot of a ball flight, isn't it?
All right, old man boys. Here's your re-hybrid.
Couple more head covers in the bag.
TSR1.
It's a really nice hybrid.
Very friendly, this guy. So something that will allow the player to generate a little bit more club head speed, the shaft being quite a bit lighter. In the extreme case of this, we use the Dynamic Gold X100. Very common to still go into a big box store and see shafts, clubs shafted up with S300s and in that kind of high 120s, 130 gram range. So this is down at 70 grams, something longer, lighter. Longer shaft allows you to swing in a little bit more of a flatter plane around you, a bit more of a sweeping motion.
Okay.
Very, very good for getting some more elevation as well.
That's a lot easier. So high.
Nice gentle landing. So similar club head speed, 2 miles an hour more, but we're up at 88 peak.
Wow. Was it 58 feet or something?
There was
before?
one at sub 50, and the other ones were kind of in and around like mid 50s to 60.
And 10 degrees steeper landing angle. I mean, you take this ball flight. It's just so much easier.
Sold.
Yeah, sold. Yeah, get me one.
170, right on our number.
The elevation is just automatic.
Gorgeous. There's the visual.
Wow.
It's
amazing.
Very easy to see why you would want to, for basically the same 1 mile an hour difference, less than 0.9, and we're looking at totally different ball flights.
Yeah, one is usable, one's not. I mean, that's the reality. Yeah. The 4-iron you could advance down a fairway, but it's certainly not going to do you any good into a green.
For sure. All right, Matty. So point number 3, and we've used this term a few times, but we're going to talk more about it now, is set composition.
Yeah.
We are allowed 14 clubs. At a certain point, though, 14 clubs are mostly unnecessary for a lot of players.
A lot of overlap occurs?
Definitely. I mean, if you're hitting your driver in total around, say, 200 yards, you might need a 200-yard club, which is your driver, your 180 club, that would be your kind of lofted fairway wood, and then you might be in like 165 territory, and then it really compresses after that. We might be talking somewhere between 10 and 12 clubs is the sweet spot for that type of golfer.
Yeah.
And then obviously as the distances stretch out, we need more clubs to fill a bigger space within the gaps. But what we see a lot is when people come in and they bring clubs and we'll go, okay, you've had good use out of these clubs, and then we'll grab one and go, is this a new one? And they go, I just don't use it.
Right.
Or I hit these two the same distance and I just find this one easier.
Yes.
So overlap, we have lots and lots of overlap. So part of the fit for us when we have our clients in is to look at set composition. We're looking for the ideal peak height, land angle, control, distance, ease of use like we just saw in the hybrid versus iron comparison. And this is another one. So lots of people think just because they see players on TV or just because a 3-wood is offered, you need a 3-wood.
Yeah.
You don't.
You really don't.
You definitely don't.
Most people don't.
Most people don't. You're absolutely 100% right. So this is 3-wood. We're going to test 3 versus 7 wood. Same comparable model. We're going to look at something that's going to fly a bit lower versus something that's going to fly entirely different in terms of higher. But let's look at 85 miles an hour as the club head speed that the average player would put into it. Let's see what the result is. Okay.
It's pretty good.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. We chaser.
Definitely a chaser.
Seeing a kind of bit of a pattern emerging here, height-wise, 54 feet, under 30 degrees on the land angle.
And this is a club, I think it's important to point out for people, like a lot of people wouldn't consider a 3-wood an into the green club, but at a certain distance category, you are hitting your longest club into a green quite often.
For sure.
It's good.
Very good example.
It's just hard to get anything more than, that's got 30 yards of roll on it.
Mm-hmm. It's just this, it's not going to stop, and hard to control what the ground's going to do to it.
And catch that at groove low, and it's going to be even more of a knuckleball.
There's your margin for error, 0.
That's different.
Hello.
I mean, that's got to be. It's carried farther, and it's stopped in a reasonable amount of time. That's nice. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Beauty.
It's good too.
Very good. So when we start looking at different fairway woods, obviously this is one catered towards being friendly, in control, ease of use.
Yeah.
Really night and day. 15.6 degrees of launch, 4,100 spins. Going to get up in the air really, really easily, really, really nicely, and it's going to give you that really nice control. So we can basically turn two golf clubs that are quite similar into being entirely different in terms of their functionality. Getting back to those flights, I mean, force carries and being able to guarantee your numbers. I mean, there's nothing much you can guarantee when you're running at 30 yards.
No, absolutely not. I think if the person who's hitting that 7-wood, 5-wood in that 195 range, they probably get 215, 220 out of their driver. Mm-hmm. So if they're playing, say it's a longer hole or a par 5, at least this club gives them a chance to get themselves onto the surface or nearby. 3
points, guys, that we really wanted to touch upon today. Looking at golf clubs that have the right design to match your strike inconsistencies. It's a given that there's going to be inconsistencies. That's a kind of a known factor for really anyone other than the guys at the top level and gals at the top level. Incredible consistency in their striking, but they do it every single day. You guys should be hopefully good at your jobs if you do the same stuff well every single day, and that's what they do. So they don't need as much help, but they use some help. T100 is the most played iron on the professional tours worldwide. It has quite a lot of help in it.
Cavity back,
It has a cavity back, and it's got tungsten in there, and is really more forgiving than the package kind of sets up. So we've got that. We've obviously got set composition in terms of long irons versus hybrids. Very easy to see how much Matty, enjoyed the hybrid over the long iron at that speed that we had, the speed down. And then in this environment, having woods that really make it very easy to hit fairway woods versus very hard to hit fairway woods. Fairway wood being one of the most difficult clubs to fit and to hit in the bag because it's the longest, least lofted club that you hit off the ground. So for that reason, it's a challenge for most people. So let's get loft in our hands, buys a little bit of forgiveness, and it makes it much, much easier. The higher the handicap, or the kind of call it the less of the skill level, or the less time you have to dedicate to your game, you need to be fit more and more because you're not able to offset some of the other variables and kind of challenges that are going against you. So make sure you get fit, make sure you've got clubs in the bag that work for you. Don't have clubs that you don't use, invest in those wisely, and we really think it will benefit your game. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you again soon.